Yes, guys, welcome back. Another episode of Teams Like Brighton. And yes, guys, it means the Premier League is back. International break is now over and done with. And Richie's probably tell maybe the hints of blue and white behind him. He's actually over at the training ground. Richie, how you doing, mate?
I'm good. Everything's blue and white. It's very nice here. Yes, so I've just been at Roberto De Zerbi's press conference at Lancing. Obviously, it's been a fairly lengthy break because of the international break, and we're finally going to talk about football that we care about again, which is great. Don't care for internationals. Everyone gets injured. Oh, God. Anyway, but yes, so first off, let's start with the maybe not so good news. We all heard that, most people heard that Jeremy Sarmiento picked up, I believe, a metatarsal injury whilst playing for Ecuador. And unfortunately, De Zerbi basically said that the 20-year-old will be out for at least a month, maybe even 2 months, which is a big shame for him just because he is one of maybe the first sort of go-to impact subs that De Zerbi sometimes calls on. So obviously he's not, one of the first names on the team sheet, but it's obviously a blow for him and for Brighton. On the flip side, obviously Tarek Lamptey has been out for a number of weeks with a knee problem. He suffered that, I think, at the start of March against West Ham, and as a precaution, he didn't go to Ghana's internationals this month because of that knee issue. But he could be available for selection for Brentford and will definitely be fit for Bournemouth on Tuesday, so in a few days' time. So that's a bit better. Other than that, no issues from the returning, Brighton's star-studded international lineup. But he did say that he added that we don't have any concerns on fatigue, but tomorrow will be against Brentford will be a difficult game due to the opponent and for our players who've been away. It's an important test for us. We have the possibility to change our future and we want to achieve our targets. He also said that, if you look at the fixtures for April, I think it's 7 games at the moment or something like that. And I hope it doesn't increase because there's still, I think, the Newcastle and Manchester United games to be rescheduled, and I think now the Man City game. So that's, I don't know if they'll pack that all into April or if they'll also be in May, but it's, he said, we will endure a very tough month. We will play every few days, and it would be better to have a full squad, but we are ready. What do you make of that, Tom?
Great. To be honest with you, I think when you look at the fixtures that we've got in April, they are going to make or break our season, I think. Because there is the small matter of the FA Cup semi-final to deal with, and we'll probably touch on that later on, just before we talk about Brentford. But look, we have 2 home matches in April, starting with Brentford this weekend, and it's ending with Wolves at home at the end of the month. In that time, we are going to Bournemouth, Spurs, Chelsea, Wembley, and then Forest. So we're definitely clocking up some miles there before we actually have the rest of. We're at home this weekend. So I think we're going to be in for a tough task. You look at the fixtures there, you think Chelsea might give themselves a bit of a push in April, May, just to see if they can finish as high as they possibly can. It'll be interesting to see where they are at come that match, because they might have just resigned the fact that this season's going to be a write-off and they'll push on for next season. It'll be interesting to see where Spurs will be at. Will they have a new manager in that time? Because with everything that's happened with Paratici, Conte being sacked, Nagelsmann's supposed next job lined up doesn't seem to be happening now at all. So I don't really think that Spurs know exactly what on earth is going to happen in the next 2 weeks until we play them. Then we've also got Bournemouth, and while they are relegation candidates, it just seems to be a bit of a banana skin for us. And for us to get some momentum and some results in, we've got to beat those kind of games on paper, not beat teams like Bournemouth, because the hypocrisy in the podcast name would just be too much to bear for me.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
But look, Bournemouth are such a they're always up for it when we're against them. and they've humbled us at home. That still really just rubs me the wrong way. And they gave themselves a really good chance to get a result against us in the reverse fixture early on this season. So for us to get 3 points in that match was huge. And I think another 3 points at the Vitality Stadium will be even bigger, personally. But we also have to deal with with what we've got coming up next. Is Brentford, who are also someone who's going to be, they're up for it. It's never been a clear and cut match against them, even since we were like, back in the old Division 2 days when we were both fighting for promotion. It was always between us two, and the games that we played weren't easy games. Even the Championship, the matches weren't easy matches. And last season, it gave us a good run for our money. So De Zerbi needs to have a few tricks up his sleeves to get a result in that, and I think he needs a few more to beat them. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was interesting that Thomas Frank, I believe, came out yesterday and essentially sort of stated their plan for Brighton, which is something most coaches don't really do. He talked, I believe, about we need to have a good sort of pressing game, which is something that Arsenal did very, very well. One of the few teams to sort of beat Brighton's tactic of luring you in and then hitting you, and then having a numerical advantage and outmaneuvering you at the back, which is a risky strategy, but it paid off for Arsenal. So he talked about getting their pressing game right, but also performing a low block. So I think we can expect a lot of, Brentford are going to get men behind the ball. They're not going to be easy to break down at all. I really hope it's not going to be a repeat of the Fulham game, because that was just cruel. De Zerbi actually touched upon the reverse fixture when Brentford beat Brighton 2-0, which I think was his third game or so in charge. And he basically said that we didn't deserve to lose that game. We played well enough to at least get something from it. And I think, if Brighton really want to qualify Europe, these are games they need to win. They need to flex their muscles and show that they maybe if they have a plan B. I think so often you get teams who, when plan A is working, everything's rosy, but once a team has like a good counter action for you, that's when you come unstuck. And I think Brighton need to show that they have many strings to their bow, which is not an easy task. And obviously Brentford are a very sort of street smart team in the Premier League these days. But yeah, I think the table will probably look so much better if Brighton win on Saturday, because obviously Liverpool 42 points, Brighton 42 points, Brentford 42 points. Brighton have games in hand, I think, on all of them. But yeah, I think this is it's not a must win, but I think it's maybe a must not lose. Just for more ways than one, just the table, but also just that belief that they can qualify for Europe.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, like you touched on that just there, we're equal on points with them. They're hoping to push for Europe. We're hoping to push for Europe. This is a European 6-pointer, which I think if I said something like this last year alone, I think a lot of people will probably be wanting to make sure that I'm okay and that I've lost my head completely when I say that. Because when you look at the caliber of the teams on paper, the top 6 were always going to be a given, and you might have someone on an outside push. But really, we're in the fight here. Fulham have a decent distant chance. They probably messed it up completely now because of Mitrovic's awaited suspension. Still don't know how long that will be, but it's not going to. It's going to be longer than 3 matches, and that's a huge dent for them for what he contributes to the team. But Brentford are someone who it's just they are very, very difficult side to get a win, let alone a result. So it will be very interesting to see how they come about this, because we're going in with the same mentality. The Brentford fans are going in with that same mentality. It's going to be a really good game, I think. And like Thomas Frank said, they're prepared. They've done the research clearly, and they've had 2 weeks on the training grounds to focus on that. I don't think they've had that many international players out as well, whereas we've had quite a lot in our squad. So, and that's something that's quite alien to us. I think I think it was about, if I'm right in saying, was it about 15 players on international duty, something along those lines?
Pretty big.
Pretty big. And these aren't fringe players we're talking about. We're talking about Matoma. We're talking about McAllister, Caicedo, Sarmiento, who unfortunately he's going to be out for close to the rest of the season now, which is a shame. So we're in this position now where we've got De Zerbi's probably had 2, maybe 3 days to actually have his full squad in place, report to training, and get ready, not just for this week, but for the rest of this month. Because, like I said, this is such a huge game. And the one fixture that really worries me is Forest away, because City ground is it's a fortress to them. They've got some really good results at home. They beat Liverpool. They drew with City. They're fearless at home. They're not great on the road, which is understandable considering the fact that they paid for about 2 or 3 different squads in the summer. But they've managed to make City ground a fortress, which I think is just 101 on how to survive in the Premier League. So to go there, if we get a result there, I think that'll be one of those matches where you look back and go, this season. The only way to get a result there is and it has to start with Brentford, because otherwise we'll be chasing for the rest of the month, and that just I think that is something that we want or need.
Yeah, I think I actually I know you're saying this because you're a nervous Brighton fan, but I mean if you look at the table, Brighton I believe have the 5th best away record in the division, and De Zerbi said at the press conference today that Brighton are better on the road, and also just to point out, obviously Forest didn't look very good against Newcastle. Newcastle obviously left it very, very late to win that game, but Forest, they have picked up results, but I think they're going on the slide again. They've been brought back into the relegation battle, and I personally think I guess in terms of a game where you're expected to win, maybe the Forest is the one that you think, oh, that's the banana skin because the expectations are high, but I think this Brentford one is just massive. I think that's just a huge, huge one. I guess selection-wise, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Will he go with the team that beat Palace, or will obviously Ferguson's been banging form for club and country? Will he start up front? Will Colwill start at the back again? I think he should, just because it gives them the extra balance at the centre back. So there's some kids running past. But yeah, I think this is a pivotal month for Brighton. Obviously, they got the FA Cup semi-final. Let's jump ahead to that. So I'm just going to give you a little quote about a lovely quote from De Zerbi's presser today, where he was basically asked about the fact that Brighton are dreaming of they're off to Wembley. How exciting this is! This doesn't happen very often. And he basically said that we are in a position where we can, hopefully achieve the dreams of Brighton fans. Brighton fans are not don't have the opportunity to play football for Brighton. They can't do this sort of thing. So he is hoping to do it for them. And he just added, we are ready for the final 2 months. We are ready to compete and fight. We want to achieve our dream. We want to give our best. We have pressure on that, but not the result. We want to show our quality. The relationship we have with the fans, me, the players, the coaches, is the best thing in football. We are lucky to work in football. What we can do on the pitch is what the fans dream of. And that's why I want to win every game for them. I mean, that's just like, oh, captain, my captain.
he says the right things every single time. And just when you think you can love this man as much as you possibly could, you just find he just does something else to make you love him even more. This guy, he just does he says the right things. He's got the right mentality, and you just think, I don't think I know a single Brighton fan who hasn't gone on the lines of saying like, we thought we topped it with Potter, and we thought we were going to just cruise along under De Zerbi, but De Zerbi's just come on and just broken every single ceiling we have metaphorically put on ourselves. He's just smashed through them all completely, and he's got us believing on a level where, not that long ago, was would have been described as delusional. He really has like opened up our eyes and just given us this belief. It's not even false belief; it is genuine belief of how this club can progress. I'm sure that Tony Bloom and Paul Barber have had many plans for this to happen anyway, but see, in football, seeing is believing, and we could always say, yeah, we hope to get a push for Europe, but I don't think anyone's really gone and said, no, we deserve to go and push for Europe at the start of the season. We generally have this chance, and when he goes and asks these questions, I think a lot of managers would have choked and either try to play it down or overhype it. But he just says the right things in such a cool and calm manner, and it's received so well in that dressing room that you just think that he's got everything at his disposal. He's got the dressing room like in the palm of his hand, which he needs. They're all behind him every step of the way. The fans are behind him in the club. Everything is in place now, and everyone's now got massive roles to play in this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's well put. I think he's just coming out of the press conference. You just warm to him so much. He says it with a smile. He's very confident at the moment. His English is very, very good now. I think he joked previously that he's going to get the translator out the job, so he doesn't need him anymore. But yeah, he's it's really fun to be around, and he's getting a lot of plaudits, and long may it continue. Just shifting gears slightly. So obviously going on to the Wembley game, Sunday, was it Sunday 24th? Is that right?
The Wembley match, yes, Sunday 23rd.
23rd, sorry. Yes, don't tell them for the 24th. 24th, because you'll miss the game. So I guess, what were your thoughts on the draw? Obviously, after beating Grimsby 5-0, Manchester United at Wembley, obviously probably would have wanted Sheffield United, but maybe the second best option?
On paper, you would think, yeah, Sheffield United, but I think if Sheffield United got us, I think they would be thinking the same as what we would be thinking, the fact that we've got the best chance of going to an FA Cup final. I think if you're a Sheffield United fan, you look at the draw and you've got Man City and Man United up there, you're probably thinking, yeah, we'll take Brighton, please. We'll take Brighton. Sheffield United have gone from a best possible scenario to the worst in City. So they're going in with absolutely nothing to lose here. We're going in this to basically stop setting up a Manchester derby, which I just think will just be incredibly dull. I'll take it. For me, it was anyone but City. Anyone but City.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If it wasn't for the absolute farce from Mitrovic and Marco Silva, God knows what on earth they were thinking and doing when the ref was just doing his job, Marco Silva, and Mitrovic just lost his head completely. If they didn't do that, and William obviously was still going to get sent off, I still think Fulham would have gone through. I still think Fulham had the momentum and that control, but they just went. I've never seen any meltdown like this at Old Trafford since Sir Alex Ferguson left. There hasn't been a greater meltdown that I can think of in a post Sir Alex Ferguson United world. And I think we'll be talking about a completely different draw. I think it would, if that was the case, it would have been Brighton Fulham in that case. To which I would have said, I'm feeling very, very confident that we could be in an FA Cup final here. And it'll be, and I think that semi-final would have been a classic. I think it would still be a very open and very good game to watch, the Brighton United match. I think we're in this position now where we believe. I think a lot of the Brighton players believe it as well, because they're like saying, well, we know we could take this lot on. We beat them at the start of the season, granted under Potter, and United have improved greatly under Ten Hag. And credit under Ten Hag, because it just seemed like a poison chalice at the start of the season. But he's definitely set his footprint and his mark at the club. And they're EFL Cup winners for a reason. They deserve that. They're worthy winners of that. But at the same time, there's this momentum and there's this aura within this squad where you just think, okay, we could take you on. We could take you on here. Yeah, exactly. Like there is this sense of, if you were talking to this about me like last season or the season before, I'll be like, I'm happy with another day out at Wembley. This season's different. It feels like as if now we're as close to equals as we possibly can be with the likes of in the top six, with the likes of United. I wouldn't say we're there with City just yet, but I mean, if we can get an FA Cup final tie with Manchester City at the end of the season, that would just be, I think that'd be the pinnacle for a lot of Brighton fans. And the prospect that we could be potentially 90 plus minutes away from lifting our first ever major trophy would just kill over a lot of diehard fans who have been with us through very much thick and thin, through the Archie years, who went home and away during '83 and the first time we were in the first division, and many more like that. But in answer to your question, I think we're in with a chance here. I still think it's winnable. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, and I'm not I don't think I'm delusional when I say this. I honestly think we do have a chance here to give United a run for their money and really set the tone to this match. We've got the gift of having a week off prior to it. United have Europa League in between to think about. And Ten Hag's talks a lot about they've got to be in it for every single competition. So I'm expecting them to play their first team on the Thursday. And I'm hoping that it's going to be a hard-fought, tiring match, because they're going to have to recover on Friday, train a bit on Saturday, and they might have a bit of fatigue coming into this match. And we're not going to go like we play fast-moving, hard-hitting football in the attack. It's going to keep them on their toes, and I think it's going to be a test of fatigue. I think fatigue is going to be the key decider in this semi-final. If United have the fitness and Ten Hag makes the right decisions, which honestly I don't think he will. I think he'll gamble, because he's gambled in the past in the cups. It's worked. I think he's going to try it again because he has faith in that system, and I don't think it's going to work this time around. So it'd be interesting to see. We're in this position the same as Sheffield United. We've got nothing to lose here. We've got absolutely nothing to lose. The Manchester derby. It seems like all the footballing gods want to try and do it, and we're there to ruin the party. And I absolutely love the fact that we're in this position, because I think it's a lot about just the fact that United just won everything growing up, and there's this aura about them that they proclaim themselves as one of the greatest football club in the world. Granted, they've been on the slump for God knows how long now, but they now feel like they're back in that place now with after winning an EFL, pushing on in the Champions League places, pushing on Europa League, and now they're very close to winning the FA Cup potentially, since Louis van Gaal was there. If you're a neutral, you're probably thinking, "Yeah, this is United." We're there to just be like, "Nah, we're here to announce ourselves. We're Brighton Hove Albion. We're here to stay." So many people write ourselves off season after season since we've been promoted. I think some people even tipped us to go down this season. But and some people tipped us to be a bit of a overachiever, but I don't think we've overachieved at all. When you look at how we're playing and how we've set up, and you know, in case people haven't realised or haven't announced it before, we have a World Cup winner in our squad as well. This is sort of like this is the quality that we've got in our team, and we really deserve to be in this place. So I am buzzing with the fact that we can potentially upset a few people at Wembley if we can. And do you know, even if we lose and get knocked out, I'll still be proud of this lot because they've given us one hell of a season. They've entertained us every single step of the way and made us believe. So again, we've got absolutely nothing to lose. I'm not worried one bit.
Yeah, I do. I probably don't. That was your optimism is nuts. But no, I mean, yeah, there's definitely a reason behind it, I think. And I just on the point about not playing with fear. I do think Brighton go to Tottenham and then Chelsea back to back. They are some massive games, I think just a point of correction. I think actually. The assistant Stellini is in charge until the end of the season, so I don't think there's a Tottenham manager coming in until the end of the season. So, and it's interesting to see if that means they'll change style or they'll stick to the Conte approach because he is a Conte man, Stellini, but he's stuck around. But yeah, I think Tottenham and Chelsea were ones maybe playing with fear because they've got more to lose. Their sort of model almost relies on qualifying for the Champions League. Certainly Tottenham's does. And then obviously I think they're whacking up season ticket prices again or stadium prices. So yeah, I think this is Brighton. This is the time is now. The teams are not as good as they were in the past. The time is now for Brighton, and that window might be shut because. Sorry to be not bearer of bad news, but like a prophet of doom. There's teams are going to want to sign Brighton's best players, and I don't know how many of them they will keep this summer. If they qualify for Europe, great chance of keeping them maybe. But even so, there's always, to quote Qui-Gon Jinn, there's always a bigger fish, sadly. But yes, so final thing, Tomo, Brentford tomorrow. Just really quickly, I think it's an absolute farce that Ivan Toney is still being able to play. After being, I think allegedly breaching all these betting rules and stuff like that. So I don't know why it's taken so long, but will probably play tomorrow after making his England debut last week or something. What's your score prediction for the game?
Just want to add on to that. Kieran Trippier got suspension very quickly after being charged with these allegations. Similar to him, and yet Ivan Toney doesn't seem to be there. I don't know what the complication is. This is also very much a thing that I get very annoyed about with the national governing body, in the fact that there is no transparency. You get it very much at the end if it's high profile, but you don't even get it down in grassroots. Like the players that I see who are sent off in the matches that I referee in, I don't know whether or not they've appealed. I don't know whether or not they've been suspended and for how long. And some cases I don't even get a courtesy call to say, "Oh, just checking you're all right." Sound like a bossy match to ref. You don't get that. You don't get that with the county FA or with the FA at all. And the fact that they're taking so long with this, it continues to show like the flaws that they have in there. But yeah. Anyway, Brentford. I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think both teams are going to score. But I do think Brighton are going to win this 2-1. How about you?
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to join you. 2-1. I think 2-1. I think they can do it. I think it will not be an easy one. But yes, I believe in Brighton and De Zerbi, and I think they'll get one over on Brentford even. But yes, it should be a good one. So we'll be back next. Will we do one of these after the Bournemouth presser or ahead of the Bournemouth game? We'll certainly do a review of Brentford, and we'll see if we can fit in the Bournemouth one before the Tuesday game as well. So lots of exciting things, and football's back. That's the main thing. Come on, Brighton, let's beat Brentford. But yes, cheers for listening, guys, and keep on liking and subscribing to teams like Brighton.